Sideline Sports Network. As we're all getting ready for this Cheez-it Bowl tomorrow, there's a pep rally tonight. They started it earlier today. Uh, if you're out here or you're going to be watching or being a participant of the pep rally, look for James. He'll be around. It looks like I potentially will be coming down here in a couple of minutes. Uh, I don't live far from the block party, but they keep calling it a pep rally, but the block party. So I'm going to find somewhere to park, and I'll be around for a little while with y'all as well. I'll go ahead and unload all of this game day vodka onto James while I'm there, so I don't have to keep hauling it around. But tonight you're going to get our predictions for the bowl game: Florida State versus Oklahoma in the Cheez-It Bowl. I'll also give you Chips. He can't be on tonight. He's at work. He also won't be able to come to the game due to he has to work as well. We've got another guy that's coming on that I'm trying to help them and their group out grow their brand. They're called the Fanboys. He's also going to be doing a Florida State podcast as well. But I'll let him tell you about it more once I bring him on. I'll be bringing him on here shortly. He's backstage right now. I'm going to get this couple of things out of the way. Then I'll bring him on. We'll also get his score prediction for the game. And we'll start chopping up with the fans. Y'all let us know what y'all got, what you're saying. We also have 10 more, unless it's went down since I talked to James. But
it's 9.
Is it 9?
We have 9 that is available right at our parking lot. And then if you want the other lady who's leased us the space, she still has 2 spots. That's 150, but our parking lot is 100. So
okay.
We still have those available, but you got to have a tailgate ticket. So
it's 150.
Yeah, so it's 150 minimum. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you already have a tailgate ticket and you need somewhere to park, then you can park for $100. If you don't have a tailgate ticket and you're wanting to park, it's $150. Brandon, if you need parking, I'll get you one for $100 because you're coming to the tailgate. So we got 8 left. Brandon Farmer's going to get one. What does he need to do? Go on.
Just Cash App, man.
Cash. I'll send you James's Cash App. You can send him $100, and you'll have a parking spot. As usual, everybody, this episode is brought to you by Game Day Vodka. Also, the premier sponsor, alcohol-wise, with ABC Wine and Spirits at our tailgate this weekend. Well, tomorrow, excuse me. Game Day Vodka is an American-made, American-distilled, and American-sold vodka. It is 6 times distilled, so it makes it really smooth. And if you haven't tried them yet, go to GameDayVodka.com as long as you're 21 years of age or older. And if you have not or don't want to order online, you can go to a Publix or your local ABC Wine and Spirits. James, ABC Wine and Spirits also sells cigars, correct?
Yes, they do. They are the owners of thehumidor.com, who provides us part of your tailgate ticket. Is you can get a cigar if you would like. We should have a good amount. But yeah, they provide cigars. You get really good discounts across the board. They may have a majority of your favorite brands. No, they do not sell Cubans. So anybody who smokes cigars knows that you can't buy those. You can possess them, but you can't buy them stateside. But they do provide a tremendous amount of very high-quality tobaccos for you to choose from.
Well, those are our key sponsors, which also sponsor our shows, obviously. James's show, Big Games BS. He's got Sports Den Media. He jumps on Mark Rogers' show as often as he can. He comes on our show more often than not. He's only missed, I think, 2 since we've started. So we're building something that everybody can enjoy. A lot of people told me that they're very surprised of how big we've gotten in just a year and a half. Well, when you team up with people like James and what he's already done for Florida State, what he's continuing to do for Florida State, it's not too hard to continue to grow. It's not hard to get big. I don't consider myself huge, but as far as Florida State audience goes, Spear Addicts covers more than anyone else because of the 100 countries that we're in and all the TV channels and all that stuff. So yes, statistically, we do cover more than anyone. But people like War Chant and Game Day, or what's some other people's names? Anyways, they have way more employees. I'm the only employee at Spirit Addicts. James comes on to help build my brand. We're partners on other things. We would love for people to support, as y'all have already started to continue to support. I had a bunch of people ask me to put up my Cash App and PayPal because they wanted to donate towards Spirit Addicts. I've never even thought about putting that out there. So as of last night, I started putting on all the videos, and people already started donating. So I guess I should have been doing that all along. So I really appreciate everyone for the support, and money does go a long ways. It helps pay bills, and this stuff isn't free to do. Motel rooms cost money. Covering Florida State costs money. So yes, all the support you can give. If you want the content to keep coming, it makes it a lot easier for us to do so. I'm going to introduce our special guest that's coming on that we're helping in the Fanboys. His Twitter handle will be up here. His name's Tony, but he's going to run. I think it's called. I'm gonna let him tell you. I'm gonna bring him on now and let him tell you what he's doing. Tony, how's it going?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Can't complain. Let me fix this screen real quick.
Thanks for having me on.
Too small. Let's see if this works. That'll work.
Cool.
So, Tony, obviously you're part of the Fanboys. Kind of give everybody a rundown of what the Fanboys is doing and what you do with them, and we'll move on into the show.
So the Fanboys and Fangirls actually is just a group of fans that cover different teams throughout the country. So we have like Georgia, Clemson, Ole Miss, UCF, Michigan, Notre Dame. All fans are all coming together to kind of create podcasts to talk about their teams. And then sometimes we'll all get together and jump on if we get a recruit or if we get a player or a coach or something, and then we'll all come together, kind of ask questions. And obviously I'm covering the Florida State side of it, and just trying to get started. Haven't done it before, and reached out to you to see if I get some guidance and some help and I know you've been a big part of helping the Fanboys out and kind of guiding them and steering them in the right direction to help grow this thing and try to become a Barstools 2.0, right?
Yeah. Well, be what Barstool's tried to be. I think they. Yeah. Anyways, yes.
Something better.
Yes. Try to keep it a little bit cleaner and not get in the fight with.
Oh yeah.
Little kids, but yes, that's the idea behind it. Prom, what is your podcast going to be called so people can look it up and let them know when you're going to start actually doing it?
So my first episode is going to drop that Monday after the game. The game's Thursday, the Saturday after the game. So this coming Saturday, New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, sorry. I'm going to drop it. I'll put it on Twitter. I'll have Fanboys retweet it. So if you follow me, it'll show up on there. It's going to be the first, I'd say month and a half, 2 months are going to be, 5 to 10 minute, just kind of my opinion, my thoughts on the team, the direction of the team, different recruits, different players, what I'd like to see the coaches do, who I'd like different coaches to leave, or just different opinions on, my thoughts of what I'm watching, what I'm seeing. And then the goal is to try to get guests and recruits and stuff on there to kind of talk about, their, recruiting process and just kind of just promote the brand, promote FSU. And as we're climbing, in the right direction here, I'd like to jump on and see if I can, get something going for us.
All right. Well, I obviously believe in what y'all are trying to do at the Fanboys. That was the biggest reason I started trying to help those guys out, and including you. And then you are what brought me to them. I didn't even know they existed till you told me about it and brought me into the Twitter spaces that they were doing. And then you brought me into what they were all trying to accomplish. I'm really big with them because they fall in line with what James and I do as well. We're big on giving back to the communities. They're very big into giving back to the community. So it was really easy for me to decide to help out and do this with them, help guide them through what they were, luckily there is someone there to help guide. I will tell everybody this. When you go through this, not ever doing it, not knowing where you start, this is one of the biggest headaches that I've ever had. And you have to be willing to do this for free for quite some time because money doesn't start rolling in just because you start putting it out. And I know that Prom and them are doing this because of their love for their teams, the love of being a fan. So they're the right type of people to come along with and to help support. It's y'all know how I am. I don't care how many different Florida State shows you watch, as long as you watch mine. I care less how many you listen to. As long as you come and listen.
And the good thing about, and now you've been on some of the spaces that where some of the people have been in there, and it's not just like random hot take fans. We're all doing some research. We're watching highlights. We're definitely getting into, digging in and trying to, have our facts and not just throw opinions that just stick off the wall. We're really trying to put some stuff together. And, and I think you saw that, and they saw the value that you could help. And I think it's going to go pretty far and blow up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm completely in agreement. I believe that this will grow quite fast just because of how many different teams y'all are covering and the way you're trying to cover them will work out real great. With that, everybody, what is the name of the podcast you're doing?
So it's going to be it's on Anchor. It's Fear the Spear, and the way that it looks though, it's also called Tribe Talk. So it's two different things. It's when you copy the link and post it in there as the podcast is recorded, it says Tribe Talk, but the name of it's Fear the Spear.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's actually really smart though. So good job. With that, we're going to jump straight into the show and start talking about what we think is going on with the Cheez-it Bowl tomorrow, where we feel like the prediction's going to go as far as who's going to win. Obviously, we're all going to pick Florida State. There's no reason anyone shouldn't. I think even Oklahoma people are going to pick Florida State at this point, but maybe not. We'll see. And by no means do you go in and take Oklahoma lightly because Coach Venables is a great coach. He's going to have what he's got as ready to go as he possibly can. So jumping into it, I'm going to go straight to Chip's prediction. He didn't give me a breakdown of why the score is going to be this because he couldn't. But Chip's got Florida State winning 45-17. It's quite close to what I picked myself. But my prediction is 44-27 Florida State. I think that Oklahoma's high-powered enough on offense that they will score a few touchdowns, get a couple of close field goals because we'll stop them to the point they can't score a touchdown, so they'll have to settle for 3. I think Florida State can handle business. This game could be the 44-27 type game where it could be 50-10 because of what Florida State can do. Florida State, depending on what their defense does, we might get overly aggressive at times and give up a big play. We play a lot of man-to-man, so just depending on how well Oklahoma plays, we could have some busted coverages, get mixed up with that bunch formation that they do. So it could be either way, but I've got Florida State winning 44-27. James, do you want to jump and give your prediction?
Yeah, I'm really around I think Oklahoma's going to have 2 scores. I think in the beginning for the first quarter, everybody's going to be balancing themselves out. It's going to be a lot of adrenaline. Oklahoma is without their top running back and a couple key offensive linemen. Very difficult to block the Florida State defensive line without those guys and without that running back. But I think we win around 42-17. Pretty solid. And I think even 10 of those points will come later on as we are getting an opportunity to utilize the new postseason rule that the NCAA has put in effect to where it doesn't affect your 4 games. So you can still redshirt and play. And I think one of the knocks that people are going to be kind of using against Mike Norvell is that, yeah, he's bringing in these guys, but the young guys don't play. But if you can jump out, get guys like Armello, Quayshawn, others to be able to get opportunities, get some quality reps against a quality opponent, I think that's really what the goal is for Florida State.
Agreed. Prom, what is your prediction?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 42 to 20. I just think our offense is humming, and Florida State hasn't had an extra 15 practices in a couple of years now. So having those extra practices and this team all still gelled together and coming together, I think that offense is going to be humming. The defense is going to be playing lights out. I'm pretty sure, as I checked the last report, we have pretty much everybody's healthy. So it's just going to be cool to see Jordan Travis and just take that next step and get that Heisman talk for next year going.
I 100% agree. And like I told people previous to this episode, that you were going to see a lot of the young guys get to play in this game due to the new rule that the NCAA had dropped. That you're going to see the Rodney Hills, the Quayshawn Saps, the Earlys, Armella. You're going to see a lot of the young guys get to play in this game, which I think this rule is really great for a team like Oklahoma. The reason I say that is because of how many guys opted out for Oklahoma. That means they can bring in a lot of their young guys as well. They'll probably have a couple of young guys start and play throughout the whole game just due to the fact that this isn't going to harm their red shirt. And they're going to need them in depth pieces as well because they are very thin at a lot of positions like running back, at defensive tackle, at offensive tackle. So you're going to see a lot of their young guys getting extremely long playing time in this game, which I know a couple of the recruits that they've got. I know a couple of the guys that they're bringing up, and that's the reason why I'm giving them the opportunity to score 27 points. They do have a couple of wide receivers that are newcomers. They got a couple of running backs that are newcomers. They got one particular tight end that I do realize that they're young, but we haven't seen them play this year. And I think this is going to be a halftime adjustment for Florida State on the defensive side of the ball, that they're going to run a different scheme that Oklahoma doesn't usually run, that we haven't seen this year on film. So we've obviously studied a lot of film of what Oklahoma's done this year, and I think you're going to see a lot of different schemes because of the newcomers that they're going to actually play. So that's why I'm giving Oklahoma the opportunity to score 27 points. I'm not positive that they will score 27 points. That's just my guess. But I had a couple of people on here. Whoever predicted a score, if your score is correct, not this one in particular, but if you get the score correct, I will send you one of these signed by DMAC, and I'll get you another random one, be a surprise. But whoever predicts the score right on the money, I'll send you a mini helmet that's signed by DMAC and another player. The other one will be a surprise, possibly a coach. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to hunt people down to get autographs. I've done that too long in my life. I'm not doing it anymore. So for that, make sure you put your score predictions in, and I'll go back and check all of these. And if you don't mind, if you've commented on here, also go to my Twitter page, message me or comment score prediction for Florida State or the Cheez-it Bowl. Put your score prediction, and I'll also use that one as a separate entry. If you want to change it up, I don't care. As many people want to do it as possible, retweet it, do all of that stuff. Make sure you're following me, because if you're not following me, I won't count your score prediction at all. Another thing that I want you to do is make sure you go find Prime on Twitter. Right now I've got this thing in the way, so I'm going to move it because y'all know who I am. So up in the top right corner, that's his handle on Twitter, Prime2121. Go search that. Make sure you find him, follow him, get ready for his content that's going to drop, like he said, on Saturday, New Year's Eve. So obviously on New Year's Eve, a lot of people are going to be off. He'll probably drop it during mid-afternoon. So before everybody goes to get ready to get drunk, make sure you listen to the podcast. Give him a shot. See what he's got to say. And I personally like as much competition as we can, possibly get, because I don't look as what I just said. I don't look at us everybody as a competition. I look at us as a huge family that get to go back and forth because I love when I get to go to other people's shows. I love when people come onto our show. I don't look at, all I want is your view. All I want you to do is get on and watch my show. You don't have to pay me anything. You have to send me money. If you get on and watch my show, the ads for YouTube alone gets me paid. So as long as you're viewing my show, it's free to subscribe. It's free to hit the notification. It's free to watch my show. I don't want to charge people to watch it. We do have a Discord. The Spirit Addicts Discord does cost. That's because I put out content. You sign the waiver stating that you won't release any of the information that I put out because I put out information that's not necessarily needs to be known to the entire public. And so far, no one in an entire year, so far, no one has released any of the private information that I put out. So kudos to my Discord family. They're doing great. Also, you can find me on YouTube. Obviously, you're watching. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Our Facebook group is getting close to 8,000. The other thing that I'm going to start doing is you're going to start seeing a bunch of 10-minute videos on thoughts of process of what's happened in this game. And you're going to see 10 minutes on what I think Florida State's going to do in the near future. And those videos are going to drop constantly throughout the week. I'm going to pre-record a bunch of them here come this weekend. And then all throughout the week, they're going to get dropped at separate times. So make sure that you hit the notification bell at the top of the page. And that way, every time something drops, you get to see it because there's some huge news that's coming for Florida State that a lot of people don't know. And it will drop sometime next week or the week after, just depending on what I get told I can do. With that, Prom, we picked, which we're going to do it again, but we picked 2 MVPs for this game for Florida State, one on offense, one on defense. Do you have 2 players in mind, one on offense, one on defense, that you think would be the MVP of the Cheez-it Bowl?
Easy pick is Jordan, but I'm going to go Trey Benson. And then defensively, I like Jared Verse. I think he's going to have a good game. With like James said, both those tackles are out. They opted out, and so we saw what he did against young tackles in previous games. So I feel like he's going to have a great game.
I like both of the picks. I had 2 picks as well. I told everybody, if I'm not mistaken, Jordan Travis and Ronaldo Green. The reason I said Ronaldo is because I think they're going to try to throw the ball a lot downfield, and I think Ronaldo is going to get a couple of interceptions possibly or a forced fumble. So I think he'll be the MVP on the defensive side of the ball. I picked Jordan Travis because I think Jordan's actually going to take off a lot in this game. Reason being is because it's showtime. It's a bowl game. Jordan hasn't been able to experience being in a bowl game as a Florida State Seminole. I think he's going to have a lot of fun. I think he's going to take off a lot. You're going to kind of see the old Jordan Travis in this game, in my opinion. For the first half, because I think we'll be up enough to where these young guys can come in. Maybe we see Tate Rodemaker in the mid-third quarter. Maybe you see A.J. Duffy in the fourth quarter, kind of like you did against whoever we played before the Gators. I don't remember. But I think you're going to see quite a few of the young guys get an opportunity to show out. Prom, we'll go back a little bit. We'll get off the bowl subject. But what have you been most excited about that you've seen this season from Florida State that might have surprised you, like you weren't expecting us to do maybe? Is there anything that stood out to you this season that Florida State did?
Yeah, I think the one thing that was offensively, the way that we were able to get multiple wide receivers to have big games. You know, one week it was Johnny Wilson, one week it's Pokey, next week it's, Pittman's kind of steady, those 3 to 4 receptions across the middle, just kind of getting those big first downs. The way that they've used Toafili, the offensive with Dilly leaving, and Atkins, stepping in, I think they've been a good yin and yang with kind of how they've worked this offense. And I think that was a big surprise to me, going into the season.
Appreciate it. James, would you say there was a highlight to this season for Florida State that kind of put a stamp on what this team's going to be in the near future? Or maybe a moment that happened for one of the guys that really stood out to you that the fans might have seen or might should have seen? Even could be the coaches. Maybe something took place during the season that really caught your attention that you would like them to know.
I think obviously I've been high on this team since I saw him in the first day of spring, in shorts. But I will go, obviously, easy would say giving the ball to the damn fullback in LSU against LSU. I think if we would have done that twice, the game wouldn't have been as close. But hey, listen, Mike, I appreciate you doing what you did do. But I would say Boston College opening kickoff, Trey Benson taking the kick to the house. I remember trying to, I was leaving the field, trying to get to my seat. I don't know if I brought my son to that game. I forgot what happened, but I know I was trying to get to where my seats were. And I'm hearing that, oh my God, I'm hearing all the cheers. And I'm like, we ran the opening kick back. And then just being on the sideline and seeing how engaged and energized the fan base was, seeing how engaged and energized the team was, and how they were high-fiving each other and cheering each other on. It was one of the first times that I was just like, oh my God, this feels like when I was here. Like, it hasn't felt like this in quite some time. And at that point in the season, regardless of what people feel like, Boston College had a wide receiver who was supposed to be, who everybody in the nation wanted, who was supposed to be an NIL casualty, who decided to stay. They had a quarterback who the year before literally played as one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and really willed them back to a game that they probably just ran out of time in, that we ended up winning the previous year. And that was just a thorough butt whooping from beginning to the end. And, that would be when I said, okay, whoa, if this team stays healthy, we could really do some damage. And unfortunately, we had a stretch where we weren't, but you still saw some things that in this team that was just kind of made you say, wow, this is a great team.
What I will add to what I asked Prime and James is what I was most proud of is the response that this team's had out through the season. No matter what adversity this team has faced, they've executed in response to whatever may have went wrong. Just like against LSU, they scored a tie, to be 1 point under us. They could kick an extra point for us to end up going into overtime. But the response to block the extra point to LSU, just to let them know that we are better. We made a mistake. We allowed you to score and get close to us, but we are the better team. We're going to shut it down now and not wait till later. We're not going to overtime with you. We've beat you on all facets of the game. Previous to this, we made a couple of mistakes. Here's my response, and that gets blocked. Then you move on to getting down to a couple of teams this year where Johnny Wilson made an amazing catch on the sideline and then sidestepped a guy to go another, I think it was 22 more yards to score a touchdown. The response before that play, what happened to him is he jumbled the ball for us to go out on fourth down. We turned the ball over for them to score a touchdown. The very next drive, that's where he made the big play and went in for a touchdown. So the response to this team, which Norvell continuously talks about it, what's your response? How are you going to respond to adversity? How are you going to respond to what's going wrong? What they've done all year execution-wise on response to the adversity that's been had, I think that's very surprising for a team to be able to continuously do it. Even in the games that we lost, you never seen them give up. They continue to respond. They continue to try to make plays. The offense is built for playmakers. The defense is built to stop playmakers. So I think that what this team's doing and what they're building for the near future is extremely special. A lot of people criticize Norvell for not doing the greatest job in recruiting high school players, but what he's doing in the portal to plug and play to keep this team relevant. Guys, the recruiting will come. We're going to win 10 games this year. I'm claiming that. We're going to go and handle business against Oklahoma. And then next year, when you see this team go on a run and not lose those 3 games that they shouldn't have lost this year, and they go on a run and they win the games that they're supposed to, which should be all of them. Recruiting in 2024 is going to absolutely probably be the first time in a long time that Florida State's in the top 10, possibly the top 5 in recruiting. And then after 2024, you're going to continue to see it stay in the top 10, top 5 range, as you did with Jimbo Fisher all the years that he was here. You have to pay attention to what the foundation is that was built on this coaching staff, what the foundation that's being put together with Michael Alford and the new president and McCullough that's came in. What they're building is something extremely special, and it's going to be a stout foundation. It's not going to be able to be crumbled easily. They are taking a lot of what Coach Bowden and the previous athletic director and previous president did in the past. They are mimicking a lot of it, but this is a lot of new age stuff. We've got NIL. We've got transfer portals. We've got people going, you can't keep great assistant coaches very long anymore because of how fast everybody needs a head coach. The past 3 or 4 years, I've seen more head coaches lose a job, end up somewhere else, or go back to Nick Saban to be an offensive coordinator. Y'all do realize that the man that's calling the offensive plays, I don't know which one, but he's calling plays for Nick Saban. He was the former head coach at the Texans. Like, we're talking about major names coming back to college football that are now going to be looking for a head coaching position soon enough. So you've got a lot of those guys around. Look at Kenny Dillingham, for instance. He went to Oregon for 1 year from Florida State, goes there to be the offensive coordinator. Couldn't even make it a full year before he was offered a head coaching job at Arizona State. Now he's a head coach at Arizona State. Dan Lanning is very similar. He was at Georgia as a defensive coordinator, and now he's the head football coach at Oregon. So you're going to see a lot of people transition. Florida State's got to get to the point where when a coach leaves, we can just plug and play another one in. We got to be able to pull from a coaching tree. I think Norvell is getting kind of short on that tree. I don't think there's a whole lot of more guys that are buddies that he can continue to pull in. So he's got to start making some new friends because I think he's going to lose a couple in the next couple of years. James, I do want you to comment on this. It's a little bit off of Florida State immediately affecting us, but because he's a former Nole, Ernie Sims getting hired at UCF. How big is that for Ernie Sims, or how big is it for UCF in your opinion?
Super huge. One, I'm so proud of him. Called him on Christmas Eve. Love talking to Ernie. Very great man in the community. I really wish there was a way we can get him in Tallahassee. But to have a guy who was a top 10 overall pick, played it at a high level, was number 1 prospect in the nation, one of the few perfect prospects to ever be ranked. To have a guy like that that's very humble and understands the football game on your staff helps, like, automatically the respect level and respect factor seeps up. Because a lot of these kids in these days and age, it's like they gotta know that you were able to do it. You can't just talk about it. Like, you got to be able to show it, be about it. So that's incredible. Like I said, I think he's going to be great. I think rising through the ranks, he'll be the next guy on a peak. Like, I really truly believe if Coach Shannon leaves or something is to happen, where we get an opportunity to get Ernie as an inside linebackers coach, he's what you want. This is no knock to call him what we call him? We call him mom jeans. The last coach, brunch boots. What was the last coach? I can't even think of his name. It's just he had those brunch boots on. I don't like my linebackers wearing brunch boots. I need them to be a little bit.
Chris Marv.
Yeah, Marv. I think you need him to be a little more rough around the edges, but he's Chris Marv with a resume and with attitude. So, and there's no knock on Coach Marv, but just saying it's a little bit different.
It's a step up. There's no doubt about it. Ed Reed also got the head coach job at Bethune-Cookman over this past couple of days. That's a huge hire for Bethune-Cookman. Like I've told everybody, I'm Florida State all the way, but I want to see all the schools, all the teams in the state of Florida do good, because when the teams in Florida aren't good, college football kind of sucks. It's not the same. So we have to see a better Miami, a better Florida, a better Bethune-Cookman, a better USF, a better FAU, all of them. They have to be better so we can keep these recruits in the state of Florida. Florida State can't get all of them. Neither can Miami or Florida. But these kids need to stay at home. So when they do better and they want to hit the transfer portal, they ain't got that far to go. It would be nice to just get them to come from the backyard. Prime, what I'm going to ask you is, because getting people like these fans that are on here watching, the ones that don't know you and would like to know you a little bit better, what moment in Florida State history, or what game was your favorite Florida State game, whether it be recent or past? What's your favorite game that Florida State's performed since you've been a fan?
Wow. Oh, that's a toss. I've been a fan since about '88, so that's a long time. I'll say more recent. That Clemson game where Jameis went in and just that team just ripped them up. Like, I don't think they knew what hit them. From that moment, I knew we were going to win a natty. Just the way that they played in that game. That was, one. Obviously, the Peter Warwick game at the Sugar Bowl to win. That was unbelievable to watch him do that, and wish he would have got more recognized as far as nationally. That was another game, and then just watching Dion play for them was just his and Charlie Ward. Just actually watching that ACC Charlie Ward thing was cool. He just got reminded of all the games that Charlie played in and how good he was, how fantastic he was as a player, quarterback, leader, and what he did on the court. So all those moments are just reliving that, watching that Charlie Ward thing is awesome.
Well, appreciate it, Tom.
Thank you.
I agree. Those are huge moments in Florida State's history. I was able to see Coach Bowden lifted so many times by the players on their shoulders for the amount of bowl games that he won, the national championships that he was able to accumulate here at Florida State, being 93 and 99. And, I'd made a post, our last episode, I said the FSU was back. I was referring to Florida State back to playing in bowl games, that we're back to, the mere level of where we should be. At worst, we should always be in bowl games no matter what. There should never be a year that Florida State's less than 6-6. And naturally, we never want them to be under a 10-win team. But what I'm stating is over the past few years, we haven't even made it to a bowl game. So Florida State's back to where they should be in the nature of going for their 10th win. I think the worst seasons that you should ever have as a Florida State fan is a 10-win season. That's what we want. I don't want everybody to keep having unreal expectations of Coach Norvell. Do I think that Florida State could be a national contender every other year? Yes, I do. Do I think they will be one every year? No. That's a ways away. The reason being is because we haven't built that yet. We're only building the foundation. You haven't built necessarily the structure that needs to be for top 5, top 3 recruiting classes every year. Because when you bring in a recruiting class, like let's say 24 is a top 5 class, you can't ask those kids to really start producing for you until 2.5, 3 years later, 2 years at the best. You can't ask them to come in the year 1 and win you a national championship. A lot of people are confused that Jameis Winston was a freshman when he came in and won a natty for Florida State. That's true. He was a redshirt freshman, but his true freshman year, he sat behind and watched. So he did come in, and it is early to start producing. James was thrown in quite early in his career. He was kind of thrown to the wolves. I think he was thrown in his first game was against Miami, I think. And he told me himself, all I saw was a bunch of orange and green. Like it was that fast. I was just thrown to the wolves. But then once he got, moving on into the game, he was able to produce for Florida State. James, I know you've told people multiple times, but maybe them not knowing that your first game was against Miami. What is your most memorable moment? What touchdown mattered to you the most as a fullback for Florida State?
Well, my first. And the reason why is because my grandmother, if anybody's ever heard me tell stories about it, actually I just got done taking care of it this holiday season. My grandmother's my heart. My mother too. My mother, I'm very much so loving to the women. My grandmother is probably one of my biggest inspirations. Probably the person I act like the most, especially when it comes to giving and talking trash. But she loved football. If it wasn't for her, I probably would not have an affinity for sports. But she had never been to a live football game. This is a woman who had Philadelphia East. She was Philly sports through and through. Her first ever football game was against the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Miss Stacy was able to hook my mom and them up. Got her. She was on the 50-yard line, and I got a chance to score my first ever touchdown at my grandmother's first ever game. So that was that was one of those moments that you can't really. You can't script it better than your first touchdown being for your grandmother to see it. That'd be my favorite. The most exciting one would be, I think, in the Gator Bowl against West Virginia. My second one, my first one got called back, but I hit the balls on that one. That sucked. The first one. The second one, I literally ran into like a wall. I took 2 steps back, and then I just jumped and just kind of just hope for the best. And the next thing you know, I landed on my feet in the end zone. It shows me like almost army crawling over the top of the pile, moving my feet, but it was incredible. Just second effort, continue your feet moving. But the one I probably make money on, everybody knows, is the 05 Miami one. So I guess, I mean, I don't really care about that one. I just know everybody likes to talk about that one because it was important. But by far, I think UAB would be my most favorite one.
Well, I will say that the one where you army crawled, I remember that one very well. I don't remember watching you score the one against Miami, but because of everybody bringing it up over the time that you've been on here with us, I've had to go rewatch that multiple times just so I knew what they were talking about, because everybody kept saying the one you scored against Miami was so important, which it was very important. If it didn't happen, we'd been in a little bit more trouble. So, yes, it was important. But the one where you just kind of jumped and landed on your feet, that was one that I could say mattered a lot. Didn't know the one about your grandmother, that being her first live game, your first touchdown. That's really cool. The first touchdown I ever seen scored for Florida State was an interception by Deion Sanders. And I got to see that live, and that was really, really cool for me. That was the moment that I became a true fan. I was destined to be a fan of Florida State due to the fact that my grandmother was full-blooded Seminole Indian. So that's who we were going to root for regardless. But I really got to become a fan when Deion, I got to see that live and him return the ball for a pick six. It was really cool to see. And then the very next possession, he ran one back on a punt return. So watching players like Deion and watching players like Marvin Jones, watching people like Freddie Stevenson, watching him run in front of Dalvin Cook for the years that he did, watching Dalvin Cook run, watching Warwick Dunn play the way that he did, Chris Winkie being an old man back there picking defenses apart. Lorenzo Booker is one of my all-time favorites that I think was overlooked by so many. I think Lorenzo Booker was one of the best running backs that I had ever seen play. And he was, it's just the teams that Florida State had at those times, it's not hard to get lost in the mix. I've told people, James Wilder Jr., because he wore my number, 32, and the way he ran the ball was one of my favorite running backs of all time. And he ended up going and playing in the Canadian Football League. And to me, he was one of the better ones that I thought should be in the NFL. He was doing better than 75% of the guys in the NFL when he was playing the Canadian Football League. But nonetheless, Florida State, we have these arguments that Florida State's DBU, RBU, all of these different ones, I think we're just college football U. Like we produce players from every position to be in the NFL. If you don't want to go to the NFL, then you probably shouldn't come to Florida State because the objective is to get you to the next step, which is the NFL. Prime, a question for you. How do you feel about NIL? Seeing how that's a new thing that's came on to college football, do you feel like it's hurting football in any way? Or do you feel like that these kids are finally getting what they deserve? They're getting paid something because we're really high on it, but I don't want you to just choose the same because of us. But if you have real merit behind why you don't like it, then let us know. But if not, let us know why it's good to you.
Oh, I like it. I think these kids deserve, like they said, they're not able to get a job. Like I worked in college, right? Like able to make money. These kids are busting their butt, and some guys get hurt. They can't go to the NFL. They may have, but if they can get some money and get an education, along with promoting themselves, like I'm all for it. I do think I wish it was, fair across the board. I wish all the states had the same laws, or I wish our Florida state's laws were a little different, but I do like NIL. So
Well, everyone knows that's watching, or you should know what James and I's standpoint is on NIL at Florida State. James has told people multiple times that he's a walking NIL piece, and that's true. But he wasn't able to do so when he was in college. He wasn't able to benefit off of the NIL because it wasn't around yet. But I'm going to ask both of y'all a question, and James, you can go first on this. But if you was to say that NIL has been around since Florida State footballs began, who would you say would be one of the largest NIL owners, past or current? Who would you say is the largest? I don't know. The largest money made would be by which athlete at Florida State?
I think the highest paid athlete would be Peter Ward. Just like Dub is an experience, man. That's all I can say, man. Like you just have to be around him, man. It's been him and Snoop Menace are tremendous friends, great men, great fathers. But like Pete's just like Pete could probably be the first guy to make $1 million with a club for an NIL deal, because wherever he goes, every people flock, and you want to be around him. Like Pete makes me, like, everywhere I go, and Chris has been there and seen it before. Like a lot of people recognize me for whatever. I was here at the hotel, and somebody asked, "You wouldn't happen to be Big Game James?" And I'm like, "Okay, whatever. I don't get it, but yeah." Well, when Pete's around, nobody knows who the hell I am. Like everybody forgets me. Like it's Pete. Like, for example, Florida game. I'm walking. Everybody's like, "Hey, James, blah, blah, blah." Pete comes up, and then we're walking to go to the Champions Club. Nobody entertains me. Everybody pays attention to Pete. And I actually like that because I don't want to be popping. He relishes in that. But I think the highest paid ever player coming out of high school at Florida State would have been Lorenzo Booker, who you were just talking about. Lorenzo stopped ESPN to sign out of high school in my class. Like, we hated him because of that. Because it was just ESPN Films, but they literally broke into ESPN Films, which I remember I was in my web design class at Florida High, and I wasn't with designing webs. I was watching the TV, and it interrupted, and they had him signed to Florida State, and I was like, we were all like, who the hell does this guy think he is that he decides to sign on national TV? And but he was that good. That's just how good our running back field was when I was here through the years. But that's what I think. Pete would be the guy, and with Deion Sanders being a close second.
Prime, would you say anybody else could compete with that, or would you agree with those?
I would agree with both of those as well. I'd also say Charlie Ward, because he had the basketball thing. He would have been able to make money in both sports. Jameis as well, baseball, and coming back. I think the fact that he won the Heisman and came back, I think he would have made a lot as well.
I agree. I think that all four of those guys would do very well. I'm going to jump on the defensive side of the ball a little bit. And he wasn't big to a lot of people, maybe, but it was huge to me because of what he could do being an undersized linebacker. And that's Telvin Smith. I think he was such a big attitude on defense and so outspoken that I think he could have done very well in NIL. I'm not saying he would be one of the highest paid, but I think he'd be in the top 5, top 10 talk just because of what he was able to do at what size he was. The man was all over the field, was great. But
great personality too.
Yeah, it was. Telvin was awesome. The little bit of trouble he got into after he left was I wish people knew more about the story than just to. You see the charges that are brought up and you go, oh, wow. But there's more to the story than what people know. That's for another episode. But Telvin Smith was a great and is a great guy. Very good. Who I would like to see, Kenny Shaw is one of the most deserving guys, in my opinion, because of what he does for the community, what he does for the camps that he puts on. He brings all of the great Florida State athletes back. James has been part of the camps. James has put on camps. The guys that matter to me the most are the guys that give to the community. James is huge on giving to the community. Kenny Shaw's huge on giving to the community. Watching what James Wilder Jr. did for some recruits at the Florida game. I mean, guys, he loaded a 15-passenger van full of recruits and brought them to the Florida game. Guys that wouldn't have the opportunity to come visit Florida State were in that van. He drove it. He didn't just get the van and get a driver. No, he got the van and went and picked up each individual and brought them to Florida State. And that was one of the coolest things I've seen done for some of these athletes. But when James does the backpack drives or the turkey gives or what he's going into these elementary or middle schools giving presents out to the community, those are the things that Florida State, I mean, I think that's the best representation of not just the person, but look how well that represents Florida State as the university goes. Like, James grew up on the south side of Tallahassee. He knows where these kids come from. He knows where all of this, first takes place. And to be something more than just a little bit of hope for these young men and women is very special to what I think Florida State represents. Being unconquered, well, it's not only on the football field, that's on life. So I think what our fans need to see more of and pay attention to more of is what our former athletes are going and doing, what James is going and doing, what Kenny Shaw's going and doing. It's way bigger than what their name is or what they did at Florida State or what they're even doing now. They don't want the spotlight on them, but they're using their platform to put the spotlight on these young men and women. So I give a huge amount of respect toward all the guys that are doing that. Jameis does a great job of it as well. He just doesn't get to do as much. But a guy this year and last year that did really well for Florida State on giving is obviously Dylan Gibbons. He did an amazing job. I think he gave over $300 and something thousand away to different organizations, different kids that needed help. I mean, they raised a huge amount of money just for Greedy Vance's mom's home. I mean, they got her home built back after a hurricane completely tore it up. By him starting the GoFundMe, being behind it with Big Man, Big Heart, being able to put that house back together for a family that was in need. He showed up for his brother. That was what that meant to him. And then to turn around the very next week and put together a whole nother $100 and something thousand giveaway for I forget the group that needed it, but he's very good at raising money for all of them. And Big Man, Big Heart will be around for years and years to come, knowing that this is Dylan's last game in Garnet and Gold. Can't wait to see where he ends up in the NFL or where he ends up. We'll support him all the way, but he will come back to Tallahassee a multitude of times to give back to the community. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's got left to do. We've got about 6 minutes left. Prom, let everybody know where they can find you at one more time if they've joined afterwards, and I'll let you fall off. And then, James, I'll let you do the same thing, and then I'll hit you up after I get finished.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at primetime2121, and look for the pod to drop Saturday, New Year's Eve. Like I said, it'll be 5 to 10 minute just opinion of the game and what to look forward for the next season.
Appreciate it, Tom.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Thanks.
At Big Game James _36. on your Instagram, Twitter, at sportsden_live on your IG and on your Twitter. Check out Big Games BS. We didn't do one today. We'll do one tomorrow morning, a special tailgate edition, and then we'll do Friday. So tomorrow about 9 a.m. before I go to the tailgate, we'll be doing one here live from downtown Marriott. And then we'll do one again on Friday, hopefully a victory edition. Listen, man, let's please just come support the tailgate. It's going to be a great time, great fellowship. We're here in Orlando, so anything that you guys have on demand, if we're out of stuff, please just, gently text somebody. let us be able to correct some things. But we'll have porta potties. We'll have a whole bunch of other different things that are going to be lined up. Appreciate all the support. Chris, you've been doing a great job this year, 2022. I'm super excited about 2023 for what we got planned in for the Noles. Always go Noles. See you guys tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thanks, James. You can't ask for better people than that to be in support of what you're doing. Spare Addicts has been and is extremely special to me, obviously. Creating it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made as a fan. What we're going to be able to do in 2023 is going to be huge. The types of shows that are fixing to come to you guys is going to be probably beyond some people's thought process. What we're going to be able to support, who we're going to have on, the types of conversations that are about to happen. It's going to be big. It's going to be real big. And I've won over a lot of the former athletes at Florida State. Obviously, Michael Alford really supports what we're doing. He's supposed to come by the tailgate as long as his schedule will allow him to. He really wants to come to the tailgate. He had wrote that out on Twitter. He had seen James in person there at the motel. So those are the type of people that we're trying to show that we're supporting the university, that we're doing our due diligence for the university. It's not about fattening our pockets, I promise. It's about everyone coming together as a fan base, but as a family to show Florida State University what this means to us and what all these athletes mean to us. So I appreciate everybody supporting and being a part of Spear Addicts and ultimately being a Florida State fan. I appreciate everybody for all the comments tonight, all your predictions. Remember, also take that over to Twitter or Facebook. I don't care which one. Send me a message or make a post with tagging me in it. And I'll keep, all those together as much as possible. And, keep good on my word. If there's multiple people that picked your score prediction and it is right, I will pick the one that did it first. So that's known. What Spear Addicts is going to do for 2023 is really good. It's going to be really good for you guys. I'm getting a lot of questions about what is it. I can't. It's not because I don't want to. It's because I literally can't until all these contracts are done, until all this is completed. I can't go into details about what we're going to be doing. But I have all the faith that all of this is going to be done. Give a huge shout out to Catapult. Give a huge shout out to Game Day Vodka. Huge shout out to Charlie Ward. It's going to be big. Huge shout out to Battles Inn. They're doing a great job. Huge shout out to Mike Norvell. Doing an amazing job. Corey Fuller. Huge shout out to you too, man. You're killing it. Look forward to your 1 minute motivationals every day. So really appreciate what you do. Jay Trav, go kill it tomorrow, man. See you before then, but if you watch this, go kill it. D-Mac, you're my guy, buddy. Go wreak havoc on that offense. Appreciate you watching and coming on as well. Micah, I don't know if I'm ever going to catch you on YouTube subscribers, buddy, but I'm going to keep trying. I hope you have a good game tomorrow. I appreciate y'all checking in and watching. That's what's so great about this show, man. Not only do the fans support it, but so do the athletes that are there, the athletic director, the coaches. I mean, they're great people. Really appreciate their support.